Every era has its price. Some paid it years ago, some are paying it right now. Welcome to the Busted Lip Podcast, where legends of the past, competitors of today, and the next generation all speak from experience. We sit down with fighters, players, and warriors from the NFL, NHL, UFC, boxing, and extreme sports. The ones who understand pressure because they've lived it. Hosted by MMA pioneer Mark Pavlich and 8-time world boxing champion Jelena Mrnjavčević. This is perspective earned the hard way. This is Busted Lip Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Busted Lip Podcast. I am Mark Pavlich. My new co-host, the one and only 8-time world boxing champion, Jelena Mrnjavčević. And hey, listen, he doesn't even really need an introduction still, because maybe all you internet MMA geeks maybe forgot, but I highly doubt it. All right, everybody, I'm going to call him this, and he's going to get mad that I'm calling him this. Matt the Legend Brown on the podcast.
That doesn't make me mad.
Okay, good.
That's flattering, right?
Well, yeah, well, it's funny, man. I said this to Jelena before you came on the show. I said, I was in the UFC in the early days with Jason McDonald and Victor Valimaki and all those guys. I trained them all in the UFC. But it was funny when you came in the door and you were there, everybody had this kind of different way. I put you in the same category as Boss Rutan. Boss is a good friend of mine. But when Boss walked in, no, for sure, man. Because when Boss walked into the room, you were all like, that's Boss Rutan. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the way it is. It's different. There's Tito's, the Chucks, everybody, but that's different. I could imagine when someone got a phone call saying, oh, you're fighting Matt Brown. It wasn't like a celebration. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, shit, really? Do I have to? And that would probably be the indicator. And that's the image I always portrayed of you. And we had you on the podcast 100 years ago. And I wanted you to come back because now you're in full kind of retirement mode. But I know you're doing other things in the world today.
Yeah. No, that's cool to know, because that was like one of my goals as a fighter, man. Is like, win or lose, we walk out that fight, and that dude don't ever want to see me again. Like he just wishes that he didn't accept the fight that night. And I think I accomplished that pretty well. Not a lot of people asked for a rematch or anything. So
no, just one time was enough, I think.
Yeah. That's what we're trying to do in there, is alter each other's lives. And I'm trying to take their life away. So, I feel like I accomplished somewhat. Sometimes I got fucked up a little bit myself too, though. So.
But that's the name of the fight game, though. Like, I was watching some of your highlights, when Mark told me you were coming on, I was super pumped because I love your style, like that come forward, relentless pressure. That it's kind of like how I am in boxing. So I was like, I can get down with this. This is fun. So, thank you for hours of highlights and amazing footage. It just, that feeling. Do you feel, or did you feel when you were fighting, that it was like nothing could hold you back, nothing could stop you kind of feel? Is that where that mentality came? Or it was just like, fuck it, I'm a badass and I'm just going to go for it and get you down before you do? Because that's kind of how I think.
No, I mean, how it is as a fighter. Like, you have doubts all the time, right? You don't actually feel like nothing can stop you. Almost every day you got a doubt, right? And, in Mark Coleman, one of my best friends, he called it the worm of doubt, right? It's a worm that digs a hole in your brain, but you got to dig that motherfucker out and kill it, But once I step in the octagon and the first punch is thrown, then I feel unstoppable.
But is the worm in training, or is the worm while you're walking to the octagon? Is that worm at 4 o'clock in the morning? Is that 4 o'clock in the morning staring at the ceiling, or is it you're sparring 14 guys and all of a sudden that worm crawls into your brain and you go, oh shit, like what's going on here? Because some of the greatest fighters I met, they will tell you they're not scared of the fight. They're not even scared of losing. I tell everybody, I think no one's scared of losing. You're scared to win, because the sacrifice to win is much greater.
Yeah. I think to answer your first question, the motion is what relieves the tension, right? Like, you kind of, that worm of doubt, so to speak, is just a symptom of tension, right? Because it's a very high stress thing that we're doing. And when you put some motion, right? You move around, like you might be sparring, you might be even just shadow boxing, or beating up your friends or getting beat up at the gym, whatever. Like that's when it goes away, right? Because you just remember what you're capable of then, because when we're sitting around and eating our chicken and rice and, maybe doing our mental training or, hitting a sauna, trying to recover, whatever it is we're doing, we're like, that's not what our body wants to do. Our body wants to kill. Our body wants to be inflicting violence. And when you're just sitting around, you're like, dude, can I still do that? You're like, why am I not hitting something right now? Why is nobody throwing punches at me? So, but as soon as you start doing it, you're like, oh yeah, this is what I'm built for. Yeah, this is what I want to be doing. And then you feel good about it.
Yeah, that for me, the quiet time was always the worst time. So if you were busy doing something, then you're like, okay, I got this. But when you were sitting around, even for me, and it still happens, driving to the venue on the way to the fight, you're like, why the fuck do I do this? Like,
Yes.
You're like, am I really doing this again? Like I personally have had 57 professional fights. So for me, I'm like, again, like, am I really this insane? And then you get your gear on, you get gloved up, you start doing pads, you're feeling it a bit. And even walking to the ring, like when you're there, you're like, all right, you say your little mantra or prayer or whatever it is you do. And then you're like, it's the same as me. When that bell rings, you're like, okay, it's go time. And that for me is when the doubts fade. But literally, even walking into the ring, hearing my name announced, I don't know if that's that's where I was saying, like, for you, for me personally, and this is where I want to get your opinion, is it when that bell rings that you're like, okay, I'm just go forward, fuck it, we're here, let's do this? Or because that seems like what your style kind of was.
Trays, yeah.
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely more like when the first punches are thrown, right? When you make contact, right? It might not be a punch in MMA, right? It might be a shot or something. Like just that first contact. But I'll tell you what, throughout my career, I got better and better. I developed a better, I don't know the word I'm looking for. I was able to embrace that more and more, right? The quiet time, the sitting in the locker room, the walkout, right? I started, cause like, I don't even remember a lot of my early ones, like cause it was just like a blackout, like you're so locked in, you're so focused. And, there's many times when my family's there and I can't even look at them, I'm just like, I don't want to say hi, you know what I mean? Like I'm focused, right? But later on, I mean, I started looking up and just like looking at the crowd and just soaking it all in, and being in the back and like, bro, like I don't have to do this shit, like I get to do this. And this is such a beautiful thing. And it's such a privilege, right? Like it's, at a certain level, right? I mean, anybody can go down to the regional show and sign up, like a dipshit and, like everybody's like anybody who steps in there has courage. Like, no, a lot of them are just fucking idiots. But
I'm glad you said that, Matt, because no one said that. I've never heard anybody say that until today. Everybody says, oh, once anybody gets into the cage, they're they're a warrior, or they're this or this. I'm like, no, that's not true, man. It's not. No,
I'd say at least half of them are just idiotic. Right?
It's been solved, everybody.
Yeah. Then the other, I don't know, 20-30% of them are, trying to get money for the meth for their weekend, or they lost their job and need a paycheck or something.
Yeah, totally.
Or they want to, they're just trying to get laid, right? Like a lot of us got a lot of built up testosterone because you can't get a girl.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, you see it, I own 2 gyms now. You see it all the time. These guys come in, training their balls off, like they're working hard. Then they get a girlfriend. Like, you don't even know where this guy lives anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Like, what happened, bro? You see him like 6 months or a year later, and he's like, well, I just, I got a job. I got I'm like, whatever, bro. We know what happened.
Yeah, because, once you fall in love with this, whether it be MMA or boxing, there's nothing that can stop you from going to the gym. So if you're the real, I don't give a shit who it is. The Pope could be knocking on your door. You wouldn't answer. You would just go to the gym, man. It's just something that eats inside of you that goes, there's nothing I want to do more than go to the actual gym today.
Absolutely.
And that's a very select group of people.
Yeah, and that's been like a not to mean to cut you off, but that's been a blessing and a curse in my life too, because even today, like I tell I mean, you probably remember my story, Mark, and
I do.
Jelena may or may not, but you know, when martial arts saved me from the life that I was living, I said that day that I married the martial arts, and I'm a faithful spouse for life, right? Like I'm not going anywhere else, and I've had to explain that to girls many times, and said, look, like you're always going to be secondary. Like I apologize, but like if you want a relationship with me, like you're gonna be in second place always.
But they don't understand
Now,
that. They don't understand your brain though, right? So your brain is telling, like, there's nothing that can stop you from going to that gym.
exactly.
And for someone to understand that it's humongously different. If they just put their ego aside, even though females, they sometimes believe they don't have an ego, they got to put that aside and go, yeah, you really are secondary. Because if Matt Brown is not going to the gym, there's something very mentally that will go wrong if he's not consistently going there all the time.
Now, Jelena may or may not agree with this. This would be interesting, right, to hear this from a woman, right? What I found is that it actually, one of two things happens. Either they're like, all right, fuck you, I'm out, no more, right? Or it makes them want you like 10 times more. They're like, oh, I have to like work for this. I have to,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh, I want to be number one. What do I got to do?
Well, it's funny because I can relate because I go through the same things in relationships with men and
You have to be a
they
world
don't
champion, right?
well, and they just don't understand
No,
that I'm putting myself first. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like
that's
I
right.
want to become 1% better every day for myself. And that means in turn I'm going to be 1% better for the people around me, including my partner. And I find if someone can't accept that, then they're not looking out for me and they don't have my best interest in mind,
Facts, so.
you know? And so I can totally relate when you're saying, oh, I married the sport. I always say I got bit by the boxing bug, like I fell in love with what I do. And if you don't love it, then that's a you problem, not a me problem.
Mhm.
And for the people who accept that, then you're more than welcome in my life, but know that my priority is my
But
priority.
haven't we all noticed that now in today's day and age, though? A lot of men forgot that they were men. And any man, like I know you, Jay, for 20 years, right? So I know some of the dudes you went out with, and they look like men. You know what I mean? They got, they got muscles, they got all this other stuff. But mentally, there's something. Can you imagine telling your 8-time world boxing champion girlfriend, don't go to the gym? Like, just
Get
think about that.
jealous.
Yeah,
It doesn't happen.
exactly, Matt. Could you imagine like how weak of a male you must be to do that? That's how I'd look at it. I'm like, you're the 8-time world boxing champion. You need to go to there's only one place you're going. And same with you, Matt. Like the level of MMA you're at. I mean, it'd be hard for any woman to understand like this is what I do. This is what I believe God put me here to do.
I say it to be fair. I mean, I probably say it like more harshly than I should too. You know what I mean? Like I probably could have said it more
Sure too.
politically correctly as Jelena
Yeah.
just did, where I'm
Yeah.
just like I don't really give a shit anyway. So
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because I was telling Mark, we were having this conversation yesterday, and I was like, I don't know at what point my give a fuck level for what people think of me went out the door, but I say what I think and I think what I say. And I would rather people be like that with me because then you know where you stand. There's no games to be played here. I don't have time in my life for games. I shoot it straight off the hip, and sometimes it comes across harsh, but at least you know where you stand. And Mark and I were having this conversation because it is tough sometimes, and I reflect. So have you always been this way where you just shoot it straight from the hip and you're like, fuck it, if you like it, you like it, and you don't? Or did you develop that in your career from being out there so much?
to be honest, I just never knew any different. Like if you watch me on like the Ultimate Fighter and shit, like when the first time I ever had cameras in my face, I didn't really know what to say. I didn't grow up like an extroverted person. Never been really like a social person or anything. So, when they had these cameras in my face, I just said literally just what was on my mind, and I never maybe the UFC should give media training or something, because I never got any, and
No,
I never,
not back then. Yeah.
no, like I didn't have, I didn't know what to say, so I just said exactly what I felt, and I noticed pretty quickly back then, like, people appreciated that, and it was very odd to me, right? I mean, it still, in a way, kind of
But
feels
aren't you at
odd
the
when
end?
people do it.
You're at the end of an era, because you're, as you know now, like when you were fighting before, you didn't have to say shit. It was Matt Brown was fighting whoever, and it was
Yeah.
like you didn't have to speak. Like the less you did speak, Matt, the better it was. Meaning, like,
Damn,
shit.
thanks.
No, I mean, like, no,
I know what you mean.
I mean, like, the least you, every time, if you would speak, it would freak people out, I think. And then when you spoke less, you're like, oh shit, he's really mad for real this time. You know what I mean? So literally that would sell the fight. But now
Yeah.
it seems like every idiot that fucking has a little bit of talent thinks the first thing they need to do is to just start talking about everybody's mother, cousin, all that shit. And I'm okay with shit talk, but when it comes to, listen, man, I'm telling you, I don't know when we crossed the line and started talking about people's wives and shit. Because I'm telling you, if you talked about my wife like that, I come over a fucking table with a brick. And I'm telling you right now, like, I don't care if you think you're pretending or you're joking or you think it's funny. That kind of shit, like, make fun of me all you want, but you start crossing the line, and you see that now, Matt. That's the whole. Yeah. They're talking about each other's wives and stuff.
Yeah, it's all clickbait, though. Like,
but I'm trying to tell you, it's that's a problem though, because you're crossing the shit talk line. You know what I mean? Like the greatest of the greatest, Shale and the rest of them, they didn't start talking about people's wives. Like, they just don't do that.
It's unfortunate. I think it's a symptom of what the UFC has created, and as we all know, with, I don't know how much you guys know about, like, the lawsuit and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like they have the monopoly, they have the control, and what they look for is WWE style, or somewhere between WWE and Tito Ortiz, right? Where you're talking shit, and they want the clickbait. There's a lot of fighters that don't even want the clickbait, right? Like Colby Covington didn't start talking shit until he won like 5 fights in a row.
That's right.
And couldn't get promoted in the ranks, right? And that's the biggest issue, in my opinion, with MMA, is that the promoter controls the title and the ranking. And of course, now they control media and everything else, right? But when the promoter controls that, then what they're doing is they're encouraging people to act the way that they're acting, right? And then we're fucking dumbass fighters, right? We're not a bunch of college educated PhDs from Harvard and shit, right? So, you make these guys have to talk. And they're like, dude, I don't know what to say. Fuck your mom.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, crazy.
Right? They're like, I'm gonna cut deep. Like, I don't know what to say. I'm a fucking fighter, bro. I'm not Macho Man Randy Savage cutting a promo out here. Like,
exactly.
Right, fuck your mom, fuck your sister, and
that's how they talk now.
I mean?
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, because like I said, they don't know what else to say, right? Like, there's guys that are specialists at it. Right, there's guys that are very fucking good. Chael Sonnen was like one of the best ever. Right?
You can count on 5 hands in the history of MMA guys that were good at it. As you know, there was There was probably 5 guys in the history. In boxing, there was 100, but in MMA, there's only 5. And literally, it's but it's to the point now where it's so cringeworthy that you can't even understand. Like, you guys are talking about each other's wives, and I don't know what hood you grew up in or what neighborhood you grew up in.
But see, in boxing though, it didn't matter, right? Because they wasn't forced. If they won the right amount of fights, they got ranked and they got to a title.
Well, and I think
in the UFC, like Armin, was real quick before you go, like Armin Sarukian is the perfect example right now. He's won how many fights? 11, I think, in a row.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He's on an 11-fight winning streak, and 2 guys just fought for an interim title.
That's right.
That he would be in both at probably the same time, not even the same night, like literally at the same time.
100% he would.
And everybody knows this, but they get the title fight because they are talking the right shit. So what's he doing right now? He's going on this tour with all these podcasters and nerd ass streamers. And this is not his personality. I mean, he's actually turned out to be kind of a funny guy, right? But this isn't what the brand that he was trying to build for himself. But he did the sports side, right? He did what a sport was required to do. So now he's trying to do the entertainment side because he's stuck.
Well, and that's the thing. I think the problem with the UFC is it is a monopoly, and there are they
100%.
control everything you do with boxing because we are a worldwide sport and there are 1,001 promoters out there. You know, that's the difference, but it's the same idea. The ones who get the TV deals are the ones who talk mad shit. Like, you know, do I think Clarissa Shields is the best female fighter out there? Probably not. She's very good, but she talks mad shit and people want to tune in to see her
And it
because
works, yeah.
they either love her or they want to see her get knocked out. Floyd Mayweather and, well, Muhammad Ali wrote the book on that, but Floyd Mayweather perfected
Sure did.
that. So, you know, it has to be a balance. You know who I admire for some of their shit talk, but also entertainment value is Tyson Fury, who's also a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he does
Very
it where he doesn't.
Yeah, it is natural.
Which is funny that you say you didn't grow up as an extrovert and an introvert. He's the same way. I think every fighter is a natural introvert. We just have an extrovert's job. And
Yeah.
and there's something wrong with all of us. There's got to be something mentally wrong with every single fighter that wants to go get punched, kicked, you know, elbowed in the face, and repeatedly. And so it was funny that you say, like, you know, you had these battles and you're married to the gym, because Tyson's the same way. And he never had people around him explaining that that's normal for fighters. You're not odd. You're not awkward. There's nothing wrong with you. You know, you're no different than any other fighter. And that's okay. That's your job. And I was in camp with him probably 3 or 4 camps ago. And he's like, you know, Jelena, I'm just messed up and I have to work out every day because it's for me, it's mental. Yeah. And I said, no, Tyson, there's nothing wrong with that. You just don't have the right people around you telling you you're okay. And that's your process. And the way you process is different.
So it is okay, Jay, then. It is okay, but the people aren't telling him that.
The people aren't telling him that.
Yeah.
He has normal people around him, not fighters, and that network of having that community. Whereas MMA is much better at that because they have a bigger community because they have so many disciplines. Whereas we're with the same people every day.
Every time.
Like, you know, I'm with the same 4 guys or trainers or coaches every day. And if we don't connect well enough to have those conversations, I would just think I'm fucked up. Like,
that's
you know what I mean?
I mean, if we weren't fucked up, we'd probably go to college
or be plumbers,
have an actual fucking career, right?
Yeah. Right. Matt, what do you do?
We have the experience.
Definitely.
Fair.
What do you do now, Matt? What are you doing now, Matt? I know you're doing a podcast now and you're doing other things, still playing your music. And what else you doing?
I'm trying to slow down the music. Actually, it takes like way too much of my time. But
of course,
it's one of those things you just get obsessed
takes
with.
Away from the gym.
It really does. But and you know, the gym is the main thing. Like I'm coaching a lot now. I teach a lot of classes, and I have 2 gyms now.
Amazing.
And then you know, I guess currently, like a lot of my time is being wrapped up in coaching wrestling, and my son is in wrestling his team, right, for his high school team, and helping coach that and helping at some of the clubs around town. Yeah, so mainly like business and coaching. I got like 3 guys that are pretty much UFC ready. I got 1 guy that I have no idea why he's not in the UFC, 11-0 with 10 finishes. Yeah, I mean, he just was co-main event at LFA last weekend.
Are you the one that makes that call, Matt? Are you the one that makes that call now, or do you get them agents, or are you the one that makes that call?
I mean, I've made that call a bunch of times. I don't know the political side of UFC. Like I never even had a manager, you know, like I just,
that's right. Yeah.
You know, I just kind of did. Yeah. I just, you know, I think I probably would have made a lot more money had I did have a manager, right? Had I had someone maybe guiding me through, I think it would have been worth the 10, 15, 20%, whatever it was charge.
Yeah.
But in my mind, so one day, like Rich Franklin encouraged me to get a manager. He said, Ben, you have to treat this as a business, Matt. And I actually I lost a lot of respect for him when he said that. In retrospect, I mean, that was kind of dumb of me. But at the time, the way my mind was, dude, I'm a fucking warrior and I don't do business. I'm in there for war and that's it. And I want to beat people's asses. I want violence and I want to, my focus is on fucking people up, and I don't care if I get paid or not. Unfortunately, like this is the mentality of most fighters in the UFC.
Yeah.
Right?
Deep down, yeah.
It straight up is, right? And it's a problem, you know. I don't know about boxing. It seems like they're way better about it, you know, like they understand like this is prize fighting. This is not, you know, I'm a fucking warrior and ego and all that shit. You know, anyway, with that said, you know, I don't know where I was going with that.
That's okay.
But that, you know, I've understood now since I retired, like, oh wait, like I have to pay bills and I have to do other shit. Like I have kids, you know, I got to be a responsible adult. And I could have been a responsible adult like 20 years ago, but
yeah,
I was like, dude, I just fight, bro. That's way funner than adulting.
Yeah. And that is part of the problem. And with boxing, there's more managers and leeches and it's the same in MMA, I'm sure. Like any Joe Blow can walk into the gym and talk shit.
There is no MMA managers, actually.
I agree.
There's MMA brokers, UFC brokers.
Yeah, they're brokers. You're right. They're not real managers. Yeah, you're not real man. No, there's guys.
That's why I never did it.
There's guys walking around right now, Jay, that like, I don't want to say any names, but I probably will anyway. But they're literally walking around and they're the ones that want to be on the front of the picture, like in the middle. You know what I mean? Like it's the fighter's fight, but they want to be in the middle, making sure you saw the fight card yesterday, right? And at the end, you saw who was there.
The whole sale of a manager is I will get you to the UFC. Beyond that, there's not really much they could do, right?
Once you're there too, technically, I managed Sam Alvey because he asked me to when he went into the UFC. He fought in the MFC for me when I owned the MFC. Yeah. And I said, don't worry, Sam, I'll get you to the UFC. It's not a hard thing. We'll get you the right fights. You'll fight 3 times, 4 times. You'll get the MFC belt, retain it 1 time, and then I'll get you to the UFC. When he was in the UFC, he had 3 or 4 fights. You know, he paid us our money, whatever. And then after that, he's like, you know, Mark, I really don't need a manager anymore. And I go, good for you. You don't. You know, like, I'm not mad. I'm not mad at you, Sam. Like, he thought I was going to be mad. And I'm like, no, I got you there, but you got yourself there. Like, I made the phone call. I didn't fight anybody to get you there. You did the fighting. So, no, I was never mad at him. And it was funny. He always thought, you know, he's going to be mad at me or whatever. And I'm like, even one time I went to go see him, I was in Vancouver, and he's like, Mark, are you in Vancouver? And he's like, I got tickets for you for the UFC. And I'm like, bro, you don't have to do that. Like, it's not necessary, you know, but I love you. You're awesome. I no ill feelings whatsoever, but the amount of money he was getting eventually, this guy's got 100 kids, as you know, Sam, and literally he's paying me to make a phone call again? Not necessary.
Management is more guidance. And then did you negotiate all your fights, Matt?
Unfortunately, I only negotiated 1 time. Like they would say,
this is what it is.
What you're getting.
Yeah, and look, in the UFC again, it's a little bit different, a lot different, because like there really is no negotiation. Like I actually,
it's true.
So I take that back. I had a manager for like 3 fights, right? And I ended up getting rid of him because I'll tell you the whole story real quick. So I was supposed to fight who the hell was I supposed to? Thiago Alves, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it was me and him. He pulled out about 3 weeks before the fight, maybe 4. And they called me, my manager, and he called me, and I said, okay, yeah, whatever. And they said, well, we're going to put Mike Pyle in instead, right?
Yeah.
And I said, well, you know, me and Mike are friends. Like, we train together.
Yeah, we're buddies. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, there's like 100 other guys. Just get like anybody else. Like, I was like, you know, if it's like for a title or something, like me and Mike will fight.
Yeah,
for
you
sure.
do it.
And he goes, well, you know, he's saying that Mike already took the fight. And I was like, oh, this motherfucker. All right. So anyway, go fight.
Not true though. Not true though. Yeah.
You already see where this is going, right?
Yeah.
After the fight, I see Mike and I'm like, bro, like you took the fight? Like I thought we were boys. And he's like, bro, they told me the same shit. So, you know,
dirty, man.
That's the type of, they also said, if I forgot to mention, they also said like, if I didn't take the fight, they're like, oh, we'll just shelf you for 6 months.
that happens all the time to guys. Like
all the time.
When I was managing 3 or 4 fighters at the same time, and the only reason why I did manage people was because there was nothing at that time when I was doing it. I owned the MFC, and at that time there was no one knew what to do. So they're like, "Mark, can you help us?" I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." So that would happen all the time. But the funny part is when UFC was dealing with me, they knew they weren't dealing with some like agent little weasel running around. I'm a guy that owned the MFC, the biggest show in Canada, and multiple times I got in arguments with people because I disagreed with the pay. And they were like, who do you think you are, man? And I'm like, listen, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm letting you know that's not what we're going to fight for. I don't give a shit who we fight, but we're not fighting for that.
Probably come out in Discovery, right? In the lawsuit, right? If you've seen some of those that came out in Discovery, I mean, it's disgusting. You're just some of the things they said, and again, like I never really negotiated. So to answer your question, I never really negotiated. Like my manager tried to negotiate one time right there, right? The only time, like I would tell Dana, look, you tell me the date and the weight. I already knew the weight, but you just tell me the date and I'll be there. So I just showed up, right? And I didn't care. I didn't care who it was. And I only went to Dana's office one time and I asked for some money. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but the person that was with me kind of fucked it up, but whatever. I asked for a certain amount. He said, okay. And that was it. And then we went and, he showed me around the office, all of his Ferraris and his $1 million paintings and shit. And that was like the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was my only negotiation, right?
I even have guys that are there at the UFC now. The last guy I managed, Ryan James, his name was, tough kid out of Victoria, British Columbia. And I disagreed with the pay, and I won't tell you which guy it was at the UFC. He's there right now. And he literally, I told him, no, I don't want this amount of money. We want this amount of money for the next 3 fights. And this is the amount of money we want. And he signed the contract, sent it back to me. And he said, well, wait a second. This got changed the way I wanted it, right? No. We're not doing that fight. He signed it. He signed it already. I didn't sign it back yet. All I had to do was sign it and send it back. And he says to me, well, we can just do a 1-fight deal then if you want to go with this contract, and we're not going to honor and I was like, what the fuck? What's going on here? Like, do you not realize like
monopoly?
I'm never going to forget this. Like,
I was just going to say that.
I am never ever going to forget that you did that. Like, it's not me you did it to. You did it to a kid. You're stealing his money. What do I give a shit about my 15% or whatever it is? I care about that you reneged on a deal in literally in an email that I have because you didn't read it, but you signed it. Like, it's crazy. And I was like, where are we today? You know what I mean? Like, it's nuts. And Joe Silva, when Joe Silva was around, I don't know if you're around. Joe with me was great. So he was a different guy, but
no, he was actually good with me. But if you've looked through the discovery of some of the emails, you're like,
yeah, whoa. I didn't have that with him though. I had it after this new regime that's in there now. But literally with Joe, he was great with me. But literally, my dad, he was in the NHL, and he's like, ask for a signing bonus for Jason McDonald, and I was like, what's that? And he's like, yeah, ask, see what they say. Yeah. And I was like, hey, give me a signing bonus for Jason McDonald. And I'm like, how much? And I'm like, $10,000. And they're like, yeah, okay. And I was like, oh. What? And they gave it to me, and I was like, it wasn't for me, it was for him. And I go, I got you a signing bonus, 10 G's. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, great. First time ever. I didn't even know nothing about it. I just
heard of that in the UFC. Yeah.
I asked for it because my dad is in the NHL world, and everybody gets a signing bonus. He goes, just ask, see what they say. So I asked, and I was on the phone with Joe Silva 1 hour talking about movies and 5 minutes talking about Jason McDonald's contract. And I asked for a $10,000 signing bonus, and he gave it to me.
That's more than I made in my first few fights. So.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the game though. But yeah, it's unfortunate. And the fighters, the problem is, I mean, look, if I went in and, during my career and was like, man, fuck you, I'm not signing this, right? Or I'm negotiating.
Yeah, you're not fighting.
They'd be like, all right, there's like 500 people that'll fight for less than you tomorrow, motherfucker. What are you going to do?
That's right.
You know what I mean?
And it's a problem too. I think, you said it earlier. We don't go to school. We don't I went to school, but generally speaking, one of the few, not very long, like, hold on, I didn't go very long, but I went. but there's not a lot of education or guidance in the sport at the bottom. So when you're just trying to claw your way up to the top, there is no one showing you, and you're like, I just want to get there and then I'll figure it out. Well, by the time you're there, you've spent half your career, and it was, not to bring up Tyson again, but like Tyson won a world title and fought for 10 grand as a heavyweight world champion after he beat Klitschko. He didn't, it is a tough road to the top, but once you get there, you have to surround yourself with the people who can help you, where the management helps at that level.
Yeah, there it did. Yeah.
So, you know, and, you know, I think everything happens for a reason. And I'm a big believer in that. And Tyson went through his process to get to that level. And we all do. I mean, I've been boxing for 23 years. You know, my first few fights I fought for pennies on the, I fought for nothing, actually. I had to sell tickets. I had to pay to fight, pretty much.
Same, man.
Yeah.
You know, but it was a different time for us. You know, we were building our craft. We were building the sport. You know, I always get mad when I hear these girls who are making all this money and they're like, well, we did this for the women's sport. I'm like, bitch, you
no,
can
you
nowhere
didn't.
without
No, you
me.
didn't. Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. I was the first ever WBC super featherweight world champion. There would be no titles without me. You know what I mean? But I almost wish that some of these fighters had to suffer the way we did, and, you know, and see, because that's where I think what's lost in youth today is there's no resilience in these kids.
Yeah, no.
And I understand that mentality where I would kind of wish that they would go through it, but where I will disagree a little bit on that is, you know, like to bring at least to MMA and I guess to boxing too, but like to bring the highest level athletes, to bring, you know, fucking Olympic athletes and guys that might be deciding between football and, you know, a heavyweight.
Yeah.
What's he going to decide between, like, your athletic heavyweight? You're going to do combat sports or you're going to football, right? Those are your options to make money, right? They're all going to go to football, right? Or at least because you'd be on the practice squad for $400K a year, right?
That's right.
100%.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, if we have the knowledge that the money is there, I think we could be bringing higher level athletes. I think that's where the UFC is having a hard time right now. Personally, it's kind of just a theory on my mind. I don't know if this is fact, but you know, they're kind of spreading their talent across the world a lot more, right? But how many D1 wrestlers are we getting in? How many? I don't think we have any high level boxers, to be honest.
None.
You know, that came from boxing.
Look at the main event yesterday. Look at the main event yesterday. Now I don't know about you, but there's something not right. The striking was so below par, like it was below par. And
I've seen better fights downtown here, Columbus.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I couldn't understand it. Like people are talking about how great the fight was. I'm like, even Gaethje, after all these years,
it was entertaining.
Yeah, it was entertaining, but throw correct. There was no correct. Like it was all over the road, man. It looked like Uncle Frank at a wedding. You know what I mean, with the lampshade on his head. Like I was like, wait in a second, man. There's no technique anymore. There's no straight jabs. There's no straight right hand, straight left. Nothing. It was just all over the road. And I'm like, wow, man. It's like, you know what's funny? It hasn't advanced that much since I started in 1999. When I'm watching fighters entering one way, entering out the same way. No cutting angles, no nothing. How many MMA fighters do you know, Matt, that stepped into a boxing? They'll step into a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym with 100 black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because they know they can't get hurt. How many of them ever stepped inside Kronk gym or stepped into Gleason's gym or stepped into Floyd's gym or to or to Kronk, whatever you want to call it, right? How many guys that you know from the UFC went into those gyms? You know the answer?
I used to go to Gleason's all the time.
Yeah, you did. But I'm saying is ask the other guys. They don't go in, man. They won't go in because in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu you can tap out, but in boxing gyms you can't. You can't, man.
To be fair, probably the toughest boxing that I ever did in my life though was I had a very unique opportunity to live in Cuba for 2 months and train with their wrestling and their boxing team.
Yeah, that's bananas.
And like they would only let me go with the senior team occasionally, right? They were very particular about that, but I went with the junior team most of the time. And I think I was like 30, 32 years old or something. And these fucking 18-year-old kids are moving around and whooping my ass, man.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like I could eventually like catch them, you know, just being big, strong, and you know, experienced. But like, and they're not real big like power punchers, right? Like most of them.
Yeah.
No, but they're
at
no
least,
joke.
Yeah, they're no joke.
but the speed, the footwork, the movement,
Yeah, it's
like
different.
I had never seen anything like it in my life. And I'd been to Gleason's. I used to go there all the time. I lived in New York for a while. I actually went there I think it was every Saturday is when they had like a
Open sparring.
Open gym.
yeah, it was like open gym. Yeah. And I would go there every Saturday there in Brooklyn, but it was like such a grind. I lived on the Upper West Side. But when I went to Cuba, I mean, I think I learned more in that 2 months than I had in the entire rest of my life. Just
You probably felt like you were surrounded every time you were just, where's it coming from?
Yeah, they're like a bee, like trying to land on your head, where you're always just swatting it away, like get out of here, and you can't catch it.
Yeah,
that's the number one thing. You will not see the highest level. I remember GSP when he came to Edmonton, and me and him were talking about it. He's like, yeah, I go and train, you know, some gyms in Montreal, you know, for boxing. And then literally after, you know, when he told me, yeah, he goes there to train. They hold pads for him. He didn't spar. He didn't spar with anybody in those gyms. They held pads for him. That's what they did. That's the only time he walked into.
I'm not totally a hater against people not doing too much boxing sparring either, only because like boxing can give you some bad habits too, like, particularly with the stance, right?
Yes.
That's the big thing, and moving your head too much, because like I come from Muay Thai, right? That's what I've done a lot more. And I love going against boxers. Like I'm kicking their legs and I'm switch kicking when they lean over and, you know, teeping and spit, you know what I mean? And it's pretty easy, you know, the clinch and everything. And it's pretty easy, you know, you just got to watch for those punches, right?
We got him on next week. Liam Harrison, 8-time world Muay Thai champion. He's on the show next week. You know what I mean? Bananas.
I was just in Thailand for the WBC convention, and I got to watch my first live Muay Thai fight. And
Which
it's
stadium?
insane. It was at the convention. The WBC threw a show.
Oh, you got to go to
just
Raja.
Outside.
Yeah.
I know.
You got to go to Raja.
I was sitting with Liam, and he's like, "Oh, he's like, you need," and he said the same thing. He's like, "You need to go to an actual stadium venue."
Yeah.
But we were sitting in the corral, like in the officials area, because we were giving out the belts, and it was insane. Like I had so many questions, and then I was looking at the stances, and you're right, it is so different. And when we had Mitch Clark was in the UFC, he came down to my boxing gym, and he came to work with me and my trainer. And the first thing my trainer tried to do was change his stance, and I was like, Milan, you can't do that because they have so many other things to look for
going on. Yeah.
Like I was like, help him with his hands and his punches, but you can't change his stance. And we got in an argument about it because he was a karate background originally, but has been he's coached everybody and anybody in boxing, and he made me. I was like, so we argued about it for a while. So it's funny you say that, because Mitch said the same thing, and so then he was trying to show me some kicks and some jiu-jitsu, and I was like, hey man, I do not want to get kicked in the head, and I don't want to get elbowed. Like I've had enough stitches in my face, like I don't need elbows in my face.
For sure.
So.
Next time you go to Thailand, trust me, go to Raja Daman, however you say it, stadium. It's one of the coolest experiences ever. And we're speaking about the fight last night, right? Yeah, it was entertaining as fuck. But you can go to Raja. I think they have fights 6 or maybe 7 days a week, right? It's just a regular thing. They have different style of fights every day, right? And you can watch a fight that entertaining any fucking day.
Every day, yeah.
Right? Except they're doing actual beautiful technique, which is the cool thing about Muay Thai. Is it's such a beautiful, because they really value like smooth, good looking technique and balance and beauty and things like that. Definitely. Like if you know with Justin Gaethje throwing punches and falling over almost. Yeah. Like in Thailand, they're gonna like you're losing points even if you hit them. They're like, bro, like,
that doesn't count. Yeah.
Yeah. Like get out of here. Like we don't want to see this.
Yeah. Yeah.
As like savage as Muay Thai is, it was beautiful to watch, and
it's
and
beautiful,
the art
right?
behind
It
is. I mean, that being said, I don't want to do it, but it was beautiful to watch. Like it was unbelievable. So it was a really cool experience. So Yeah, Muay Thai is unbelievable.
But you're right,
and
Matt.
that's your background? Is Muay Thai?
Yeah.
Is that where you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wanted
Cool.
to do Muay Thai, but there's I recognized pretty quickly, for one, in America, it's very difficult to even find fights, nonetheless
Correct.
grow into something. And there was certainly going to be no money in it. My coach, Brian Price, he had been already living in Thailand and coming back and forth. And he's done that the last, I don't know, 20, 25 years since we've known each other. He was over there. I mean, he would tell me, yeah, I fought for like 400 baht last weekend, which I think is like 30 or $30 or something American or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I can go get a, what do you say? Like, get a meal with that, like a street meal.
Yeah.
Like, some grilled spiders or something.
Yeah. What they're eating over there.
Grasshoppers. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, and I mean, and you're seeing it on TV, you're seeing the UFC on TV, and I'm like, Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell around that time and Couture. And in my head, these guys are multimillionaires. And I'm like, I kind of want to do this, and then you realize like, oh, they were getting paid like $100K to do that shit, motherfucker. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was different.
Yeah.
Different.
Yeah. That's funny.
but it has grown. I mean, it's gotten better. Like but again, it's never going to get to the level of boxing, right? Where in boxing, being that it's an open market, which Zuffa is trying to change, but with it being an open market, that's why guys like Floyd could put on his own show and make $100 million. Right? He promotes his own show.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guys at the top level are co-promoting their shows or a portion of it. Yeah. But again, they were educated on that at the higher levels, right? Not everybody gets that opportunity.
Well, you have to earn that opportunity, right? And that's one of the things that they argue about in, Zuffa or their lawyers or whatever, I don't know, the people are fucking Reddit nerds or whatever. They're like, well, the mid-tier fighters, make more in the UFC, whereas the boxers, getting $100 a round or some bullshit. And it's like, well, what sport on this planet do mid-tier or lower level people get paid anything?
Yeah.
Like if you're a football player, like you either NFL or you get nothing.
That's right.
But that's the same with anything in business.
All
you aren't
business,
going to be
right?
a secretary. It's everything.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You got a mid-range business, you make mid-range money. Right?
Yeah,
100%.
Totally.
Normal people
100%.
get normal results, right? Like if you excel in something, you fucking get paid for it. Except, and I don't want to be like a hater on the UFC, but it's like the only thing where you can excel in it and not get paid your value.
So you can be that though, Matt, because you are the anomaly of this. Like if like whatever you're going to say, good or bad about the UFC, people are going to believe. There's a lot of people that talk shit back in the day about the UFC, and no one believes them. You know what I mean? But it's different. It's like you were the I don't know, prototypical company guy. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Without
100%.
being the company guy. So you're allowed to do this today. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what people do. People watching this are going to say that. They're going to be like, oh shit, if Matt Brown's saying it, it must be true, because it's different. There's other guys that can say shit like that and no one's going to pay attention to them.
I feel you on that. I think that's true to some extent, but man, these MMA fans, and I know Bison fans are saying these are fickle little motherfuckers, bro. And they don't find
the worst.
any reason to hate, because everybody, all these little Cheetos eating drunk motherfuckers, they got their own ego. They think they can kick your ass if
keyboard cowboys.
Yes.
Matt,
They're
you tell me
all
this,
the
Matt.
icy red motherfuckers. And
how'd this happen, Matt? How did this happen? Dana White smacks out his wife on video. Then when she hits the ground, he kicks her. I'm not saying shit. I don't know what she did. I don't care what she did. Any other sport, he would have been excommunicated. Mm-hmm. And I'm not, listen, watch this. I ain't judging him for doing it. Do whatever the fuck you want with your wife. That's your business, man. Well, but I am saying this. Exactly.
Yeah, come on.
I judge him
absolutely
a little.
I can absolutely.
What I am saying, I said it earlier when it happened.
Ass kicked by girls and not hit him back. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, Me also. But what I'm trying to tell you is, I said it when it first happened. I crucified him and I said, "You imagine," and I don't have a problem with him, but I do have a problem with you doing that. But the crazy part is, we're the only sport in the world. Imagine in Major League Baseball, football, any owner did that. They'd be excommunicated. Roger Goodell, he'd be excommunicated out of the sport forever, ever. Dana White, nothing.
Yeah, it is forgotten about, right?
Forgotten.
It's rare that it even comes up in conversation, and
now,
people has to be reminded, but that's the power they got, man. That if I look, this is where I always start with all this stuff. A lot of people think I'm like a UFC hater or whatever, or like I'm just a disgruntled former athlete or whatever, because I'm, like a common Twitter thing, but you're fucking broke now, or whatever kind of shit like that, right? But the fact is, like, I actually respect what the UFC has done, and like, I take business lessons from UFC, like what they've done. Like it's a fucking brilliant, like, to be able to monopolize any market. It's beautiful, right? Like they take a guy like Paddy Pimblett, and they can justify giving him a fucking title shot. And people believe it, right? Like, people were betting on him. I think he was actually the favorite, right? And
at one time he was,
yeah. People are betting on him, and there's like debates all online about who's going to win. And it's like, is anybody just saying like, this dude is not a fucking title worthy person? Period.
He's definitely not.
But the UFC machine makes you fucking believe it.
And Sarukian is sitting in the second row. Yeah, Sarukian is sitting he's the number one ranked guy. He's sitting in the second row at the fights, just shaking his head like, are you joking right now? Like, like you said earlier, he can kick the shit out of both of them at the same time. I think he really could.
Well, it's the thing, the UFC has this ability to create this story around it and push that narrative, and they are marketing machines. I think I agree with you. I think every business should look at what they've done and copy their module, like and their manual. It is unbelievable.
And that's what I said. It's like, I don't hate on them. Like, that's actually what every business's goal is to do, is to be what they have become, to be a $7 billion, almost $8 billion company where like no one can fucking compete with you. That's what Apple wants. That's what Microsoft wants. That's what Amazon wants. That's what I want with my gym, right? Like, if I could do that, I would fucking do that. If I could be the only gym on this planet and no one go to any other gym ever and have no chance of it, I'd be like, fuck yeah, bro. I'll chill on my yacht all day with that.
Yeah.
But the problem is the legislation allows it. This is where, maybe I get a little preachy or whatever, right? In boxing, you have the Ali Act. No promoter can do this.
Challenging.
They're challenging
in a sense, in a way, in a way they are, yes. But yeah, like you said, for now, like the MMAFA has tried to bring the Ali Act into MMA multiple times and has failed in Congress. And again, I don't want to get all preachy, and political and shit, but fuck our fucking government, and I'll leave it at that. Fuck the government. And that's why people are getting.
You can say that all you want. You're the guest.
Politics sucks. Like, it really is so awful.
Like, if anybody ever wonders in their life why they're getting fucked in their ass, sorry to be harsh, but in life, it's because of the fucking government. Like, look to them first. Like, your worst enemy is the fucking government.
They're the biggest mafia out there. They are the biggest mafia out there.
Definitely,
yes.
Definitely.
Like, so it is what it is. Yeah, that part's terrible.
So I didn't mean to get into all that, but
No.
Well, we live in Canada, so we know what's going on with the government. So we're in a country where it's just fucking. You pay any more taxes? You pay any more tax? Like, tax here is just, they tax tax. It's, they want to shove people to poverty, but there's people that just won't go. But that's their goal. They want to make everybody middle class to lower middle class. It's clearly
control.
In Canada, it's very much set up that way, but a lot of people are against it. So, especially where the part of Canada we live in, where all the oil is, it's like the Texas mentality. It's like, nah, we're not doing that. You're not shoving us into middle class or lower middle class. We ain't going.
Yeah, that's the grind, right? And that's But yeah, I guess, to circle back to the original point, right, is like what the UFC is doing. This is a business model that everybody wants, right? So I learned from them. And
Sure.
like I've learned actual business things from what they do, right? I mean, I can think we can take from them and learn. But the reason that it's always going to be this way is because of the politics, right? There's no way to stop them organically. I think it's too late,
No,
right? Like they
no,
have a
no, you
complete
cannot.
control, like no fucking PFL or
It's a
Nobody-
dictatorship.
yeah, they don't have a shot in fucking
Nobody
hell,
does. Nobody
right?
does.
But until it
It's the
becomes
game
an
is
open
over.
market, until it becomes an open market,
Correct.
and you know the only people that are fighting for this is the MMAFA. That like that's
Yes.
literally, you may have not even
Yeah.
heard of them, right? Because you know
I
it's
have.
so hard for them to get traction.
Yeah.
The fighters are well, we've talked about, right? Like they're kind of uneducated, you know. And I don't want to like put down fighters, but like we're all kind of some fucking dipshits. Like I wouldn't have been on board with this 10 years ago when I was fighting. You know, I've been like, man, fuck
No.
you guys. You guys are dealing with politics and you know and lawsuits and like
It doesn't make sense back then.
like
but
I'm a
now it
warrior.
does.
I don't need that shit, right? But again, you grow up and you have kids and you have a life and you're like, oh shit, like I kind of got raped, you know, kind of got fucked a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't like it.
Yeah. Now you
Didn't
don't.
feel
Yeah.
good.
No.
And I didn't. I'm not gonna say like I got fucked either, right? Like I wasn't a champion, you know. I wasn't the highest level fighter ever, you know. So I'm not gonna like put that. But I see, you know, my point still stands. And I'll leave it at that. I'll stay away from the preachy shit.
Well, listen, no one can change that you had the second most knockouts in UFC history, the most knockouts in welterweight history.
It can be changed.
Yeah.
You know, like someone can come in and knock out more people. Yeah.
They can if they dedicate themselves to doing that, right? But as we can see, people don't want to. A lot of the fights we saw yesterday, but besides, you know, they kind of just want to survive. You know, they want to survive out there. So
I feel like Ilya would knock both of them out in the same night.
Oh,
too.
he would. That kid's got legit stand up. Like he's the closest.
He's actually got good boxing. Yeah,
he's the guy that did step into a boxing gym. You can clearly see that he did, and he would kill Patty. He would kill Gaethje. It would end his career. You know, Gaethje's always going to be forever interim title holder, and I like him, but he's never going to be the champ. Never. Like
not when Ilya's there.
No, the Ilya's like just different, man. And you see his boxing skills. He pieced everybody up because listen, man, I tell this story a long time ago, but I'm in a gym, Johnny Taco's gym in Las Vegas one time, and I'm with my son, and I'm no pro boxer. Johnny Taco's gym, right? So I'm in the gym one day, and they say, Mark, you want to spar against this UFC guy over here? And I'm like, yeah, sure, man, no problem, you know. So the guy sweeping the floor at Johnny Taco's gym, if they say, Mark, you want to spar the guy that's sweeping the floor? I'd say, absolutely not. Never. But you want to spar another like UFC guy? So I get in the gym, I'm moving around, I got my headgear on, I'm piecing him up, and I'm not a pro boxer. And so I'm piecing him up, and then I took my headgear off, and the guy goes, oh shit, he knew who I was. And I said, yeah, I said, and I knew who he was. And I said, you know, you could tell, like, they didn't let him box with other boxers. He was in their gym, but they asked me because they knew who I was. And they were like, listen, when we walked out of Johnny Taco's gym, the owner of the gym used to give us a ride back to the hotel all the time because we used to wait outside. And he's like, don't wait outside here, Mark. It's not good. He used to drive us back to the hotel all the time.
So you got to say who you got to name drop here?
This is so old. Rico
Rodriguez. Okay, yeah. I mean, to be fair, he's a jiu-jitsu guy too, right?
Well, but that was back like in Foreverville, you know what I mean? But literally,
you're a big son of a bitch, though. Damn.
Yeah, but same thing when Tito backed out, didn't fight Dana. I had our lawyer call and say, I'll fight Dana, like in a boxing match, no problem. You know what I mean? Like, but you're talking about the different. I used to remember Jolena sparring sometimes with like high level MMA guys that are men, and she kicked the shit out of them. Like it was comical. Like to watch her.
Some more.
You're like, let's do this.
Yeah, because they were like, this is a true story. Like Jolena was coming. We used to spar on Thursdays, and she'd be there, and she'd walk in, put her shit on, and you know, she'd throw down with the guys, and you know, like guys would think, oh, I'm not going to go hard on her, and then all of a sudden she'd catch you with that
Like,
right hand, and you're like, oh shit, I better take it serious. Like forget she's a girl, and you better knuckle up because she's gonna knock your chiclets out.
That's awesome.
It's
Yeah.
always my favorite when you go with guys who are like, don't want to hit you. I'm like, this is amazing. I'm just gonna let loose and
Yeah, eventually you're going to figure out that it's survival time now, and you better like go.
And you're like, oh, it's my turn to get out of the ring. I did my part.
They ever be throwing kicks or try to shoot takedowns? Because I've seen so many MMA guys do that in boxing gyms. They're just like, dude, fuck this. They start getting hit, and they're like, all right, I'm just taking you down.
Yeah, because they can't deal with that straight up boxing.
Deal with it, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
Listen, I've been around a long time. I know all the dirty shit. So you do that, I'm starting to throw elbows. It's fine.
Nice,
and then I'm like, all right,
Definitely.
we're getting out.
Nice.
But it's so funny.
Matt, we want to thank you for being on the show today.
Yeah,
we can't thank you. We can't thank you enough. I mean, it's been too long, and I'm rooting for you. Whatever you're doing in life, you're an absolute gem. And like I said earlier in the show, most people know. When you walked in the room, it was. You were who you were, and that's how you're looked upon. And I put you in the same category as the Boss Rutens of the world and people like that, because they had the same vibe when Boss is a dear friend of mine, but it's like you guys were just different. There's different. And I mean different in the most positive sense of the word.
I mean, to be spoken in the same sentence as Boss Ruten kind of gives me a chill down my spine. You know what I mean? Because that's a powerful statement, bro. I much appreciate it.
Yeah, it was honestly a privilege and a pleasure to speak to you, and I've on my research of stuff with you, you're so inspiring to listen to, even being in the sport probably just as long as you, like a true inspiration to listen to some of your other podcasts and read up on your story and your philosophies. True inspiration. I'm going down the path of almost retirement. Not quite ready to give it up yet, but
do it. It sucks.
I didn't even get a chance to ask you about that, because I'm like, I'm at that point cool. Where
if you do want to ask, I'll say like it's not actually that bad, but the hardest part is, at least for me, is you have to rebuild your entire identity.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Because I still have the hardest time watching these fights without just, my heart rate getting up, and I'm just like, I fucking get in there so bad. But I got to remind myself, like, that's not who I am anymore. But I mean, I know it is like who I am, but I'm like, that's okay. Maybe that's not what I'm doing. That's not my mission and my purpose anymore.
Exactly.
But it's very difficult because, like other missions, I said, they kind of suck. I mean, you have to find something powerful. And that's it. So maybe that's what I mean. That's just it kind of sucks, right? Because it's like I'm doing a lot of business stuff and these days, right? And the biggest thing is like there's the work is very slow and tedious and monotonous.
Yeah.
The payoff is very slow, tedious, and monotonous.
That's right.
It's not when you fight, right? Like it's
Yeah, you get a chunk.
It's chunks, right? Like I would train, 50, 60% most of the time. And then for 6, 8, 10 weeks, it's 100%. Go do the thing, right? It builds up. You do your fucking thing. Take a little bit of time off, right? And then repeat, rinse, and repeat, right? But now it's like, like I've had my gyms for 6 years now. I'm there every fucking day. You know what I mean?
That's the real grind. Yeah, that's a different grind. Yeah, that's a different grind. Yeah.
And, like at first I didn't get paid, and then there's, I'm paying others before I'm getting paid. And then I get paid a little bit, right? And then a little bit more.
That's right.
You know what I mean? It's like, again, it's slow and tedious, and the reward is slow and tedious. But I think the reward is also going to be longer and more fulfilling, right? When I have, particularly with the gym, right? And, maybe something Jelena may be interested, right? But with a gym, what keeps me going, because I've thought about quitting many times. I'm like, bro, I still got it in me. I'll go fight, man. I'll make some money, man. Fuck this shit. I can go fight. But what I have is, these kids that come in and their self-esteem's all fucked up, And then they come in, and a couple months later, I see him again, and the kid's got his chest puffed out.
Good.
I see someone coming in, you know, trying to get sober, and then again a couple months later, and this guy's living his life good. Relationships improve. You know, people losing weight. When you see these transformations constantly,
it's the new buzz. It's the new buzz.
Different rewards, right?
It's external definitely. Reward now, right? I'm giving them, right? The reward is seeing them grow. Whereas in fighting, it's me, right?
Yeah.
Everything is me, right? I'm doing everything. I get the reward. I get my hand raised. I get cheered for. But now I'm cheering for them.
That's awesome.
And it's funny you say that, because I had a group fitness place. I was not training fighters, and I thought I was going to hate it. Like I opened the gym for a place for me to train that wasn't going to cost me a shit ton of money, right? And I fell in love with helping people. And
interesting.
And I fell in love with changing someone's day, changing someone's mindset, changing their views. And I literally, like you said, it's very, being a fighter is a very selfish spot. You have to really think about yourself. And
I'll let you finish, but I'll argue that point too, though.
Okay. I like that. It is because you have to put yourself first as a fighter.
So this is where I'll argue it. Selfish people do selfish things, and selfish people are pieces of shit that I don't want to be around. But as a fighter, we have to be self-centered, which is a different
self-centered,
thing,
correct.
Which is a different thing than selfish.
You're right. It is. I've been corrected on that too, because I used to say the same thing. But you're right, Matt. It's not the same. It's not.
Okay. And you have to be self-centered, which there's nothing wrong with being self-centered, because you're the fucking brand, right?
That's right.
And it centers around you. But selfish is different. And I don't want to be
correcting me.
Yeah, I don't want to be around selfish people.
I'm writing that down, self-centered instead.
Yeah, I actually really like that. Me too. Okay. But to go back to my point was with the gym, I really, like, I looked forward to every day I was teaching, and every day I was in there and helping someone. And I mean, throughout my career, I've always done a lot of charity events and always given back. And I started in a gym that was a boys and girls club. And to your point of watching a kid come in there and you change their mindset and maybe their path. And I've always, me and my old trainer, he's passed on now, but we chose to go to a boys and girls club because we wanted to help the kids. Like that was super fulfilling for me as I was growing and being able to jump in there with a 7-year-old little boy who has God knows what happening at home, but being able to make his day just a little bit better. I love that with the kids and stuff. And I never thought it would translate to a gym, a business, and helping adults and whatever. I'm like, dude, you can help yourself. But it was super rewarding. So I can see how, that is fulfilling you now. I'm still self-centered. I'm still, like, for me, I'm still self-centered because I still need that adrenaline. I'm an adrenaline junkie, like, with fighting, not with real life.
I was going to say
things,
the transition may be easier for you then, because, like, for me, I'd never done other things for other people before, because, I was so extremely self-centered. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
But like, so that transition for me was difficult, right? There were so many days, even when I did see some of these transformations, I didn't give a shit. You know what I mean? Because, I did, once you're actually in there, right? It's kind of like walking into the ring, right? You're scared, then you get in there and it's cool. It's like at home, I'm kind of like, man, like, I don't know, like, fuck this. Like, I don't want to go do this grind again, and I don't care how much it's helping people. But then you get in there and you see, see the kid and you're like, oh yeah, like, I made a fork in this kid's life, like this is actually an important thing that I'm doing here. And like, I think we don't even need churches or therapy centers or recovery or AA, none of that shit. Like, we should just have fucking martial arts gyms everywhere, just combat sports. And
well,
and on that note,
But it is a sanctuary for a lot of people.
Yes,
I
it
know for
definitely is.
me,
It definitely
when
is.
I'm having a bad day, I just got to go and hit the bag and zen out in
Yeah.
you know, my church. Like, for you're right when you put it that way. Like, for me, I know boxing has gotten me through a lot of things. I used to have anxiety as a kid and shortness of breath and things like that. Like, I would let my anxiety build so much, and boxing taught me how to control that. It taught me how to view myself differently. So I 100% agree with that. Like, I think every kid should do some sort of martial arts to learn
totally agree.
discipline,
Should be in schools.
confidence, how to work with
I agree.
others. Like, I 100% agree with that. Like, I really am an advocate. My brother has 2 boys, and I'm like, dude, you need to get them into something. Like, they started jujitsu, and
Yeah,
you know,
perfect.
they like it. I'm like, let Auntie come punch him in the face a couple of times, and you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
they're great kids, but I still want to hit them a couple
Yeah,
times.
exactly.
Jiu-jitsu is like a good way. I think it's better than nothing. But like I think all the
Yeah.
and I love jiu-jitsu. Like I'm a huge, but I take it back. I love grappling arts.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu,
Me too.
like the culture is so fucking gay and so
It's weird.
fucking.
I'm not gonna lie to you, it's so
Yeah,
weird.
there's so many fucking nerds and fucking
Yeah,
dweebs
there
and
is. There
and-
is. You're right.
I mean, like the face of jiu-jitsu right now in America is Mikey Mitchell, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, that kid. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, what are we promoting here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
He's
Gordon
the
Ryan
epitome
was
of
the
the nerd.
face, right? And Gordon's like,
Yeah.
as much of a weird nerd as he is, like he's a fucking savage killer too. You know? And I'm
He
like,
is.
that's what you need is your face, not some
Yeah, not
fucking
that. Yeah,
nerd.
I totally
who-
agree.
Yeah,
He is a nerd.
And, like, I don't want to bring my kid to that gym. I don't want him
Yeah,
growing
no.
up, you know,
No.
talking, you know, with every speech he says is about a fucking mental health issue. I'm like,
Yeah.
shut the fuck up and train, bro.
Yeah. Well, Matt, we want to thank you for being on the show today.
My
Listen, we
pleasure.
can keep this going all day long, man. You know it. So thanks so much. And listen, we can't wait to have you back again.
Yeah, anytime.
I
man.
really love chatting.
Peace,
Really
bro.
love
Thank you
chatting.
so
Pleasure.
much. Thank you.
pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Awesome,
Thanks.
Matt. Thank
Have
you.
a great night.
You too.
You too.
And that's Matt Brown, everybody, on the Busted Lip podcast. Hey, with Jay, what do you think next week? We got Liam Harrison. We got Chris Beast Boy
yeah.
Barnett on the show. We got hockey guys coming up. We got a lot of stuff coming up.
Yeah. Mark, every time we do this, I get to learn a little bit more about different people, and
Of course.
I get corrected, which was, you know, that mindset.
I agree with that
shift.
too. I spent a lifetime telling people you have to be like you have to be
selfish is what
self.
we always
I did. But he's right though. What he said about being self-centered, it's true. It's two different things. It's not selfish. It's self-centered, and I agree with that because my whole entire life I've said the opposite.
Well, and 100%, because selfish is a bad connotation.
Correct.
Whereas self-centered, because we're not bad people because we're focusing on ourselves.
No.
So,
well, as you know,
I love
society
that
thinks
too.
that now, though. Society thinks that, especially for female, right, that you're just self-centered to yourself, right? And they think that's selfish, and it's not. It's that. Listen, that's why I've always thought it's hard for you to have a husband. But you know why? No, honestly, and it's not. It's
selfish.
No, you're not. Apparently, you're not selfish.
No,
but you are self-centered for what you're doing in life, and that is very distracting to most men. Most men, as we know now, are not. You know, the society's changed a ton, right? So a lot of men now don't act like men. So literally, to have your fiance or wife as the 8-time world champion that says, "Oh, sorry, honey, I have to go to the gym at this time and this time and this time on this day." And he's like, "What do you mean? Aren't we going to have dinner together?" And you're like, "Probably not." And you got to go to the gym.
microwave.
Exactly. Right. So,
well, it's funny because I was going to say to Matt, I'm like, dude, I am more manly than half the dudes I know.
Yeah, correct.
You know,
but you're not though. You're still a feminine. You're very feminine, but that part I know about you.
Yeah. And it's maybe because I have this self-centered drive.
Yeah,
and
correct.
My drive is in the gym. And so it was very interesting. You know, so far, this is my second podcast. I've learned something about myself every one we do.
Sure.
My goodness, I'm worried for people.
Well, we want to
I
thank
keep
Crystal.
improving every day.
We want to thank Crystal Glass, your clear choice for all your glass needs. Go to crystalglass.ca. Tune into everything on the Busted Lip podcast. Subscribe today, everybody. I'd like to thank Jelena, 8-time world boxing champion, myself. We'll see you next week, everybody. Take care.